town of the good, the bad, and the weird. You either live by the gun, or you die by the sword.
Welcome to Podcast, the good, the bad, and the weird podcast. I'm your host, America, Nicho America.
I'm Chris.
And today we are doing a movie that insults the French, so I don't have to.
Boy, it goes heavy-handed, doesn't it?
Just a little bit.
We are watching Johnny English, the first one.
Yes. Oh man, this is actually my first full-on movie that I know Rowan Atkinson from. I forget that he was in Scooby-Doo's live action.
Yeah.
But I think that's really the only thing I know him from.
You've seen Lion King, right?
Zazu. I know. Okay, yeah, I found that out too, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah, but I don't think any of us as children put him and Zazu together.
Well, and I don't think he was as big in the U.S. as he is now, and even then it's...
Well, in the U.S. he was Mr. Bean, and Mr. Bean doesn't really talk a whole lot, so...
Well, and I know that led to a bunch of rumors about him, like, he's just mute. He never actually talks, and was just...
no, he's actually very eloquently spoken. He just is very good at that bit.
Yes. And so, for those who don't know, Johnny English is a 2003 spy comedy flick about a bumbling wannabe spy who is the last agent left in MI5 to save England.
And it is as British humor as one can go.
Yes, and I went into this because I like, in general, I like British humor.
Yes.
But this is very... I guess I'd never really seen a British parody movie per se.
Yes.
And it is much different than what I was expecting.
Yeah, I can totally understand that.
Yeah, it's quite a bit different. So it's directed by Peter Howitt, with the screenplay by Neil Purvis, Robert Wade, and Will Davies. It stars Rowan Atkinson, John Malkovich, and Natalie Imbruglia. So for those who don't know, I don't know much about Hewitt's previous work. I mean, he's worked on Antitrust and Sliding Doors before, but I have no clue.
Yeah, honestly, there's not a ton that he's done, but there is a different director with almost the exact same name as him who has done also some stuff.
Yeah, I know the last name of Howitt, but I couldn't tell you what I've seen him do.
Same.
As for Purvis and Wade, before they had worked on, they'd actually done a Bond movie. They did Pierce Brosnan's Bond movies, The World Is Not Enough and Die Another Day.
Which I do love both of those.
Yep. And as well as a historical drama called Let Him Have It.
Sure.
Yeah. So they've got their niche. As for Davies, I've not seen what he's done, but he did Ghost in the Machine, which some of these are on my list. He also did The Real McCoy and Twins.
Yeah, there is stuff there, but with the exception of the actors and actresses, there's not, a ton to pull from this, which I think does have some play on the final movie.
Yeah, in a weird way, too, because, like we mentioned, for me, this was really my first Atkinson movie.
Yes.
But, as we mentioned, he did Zazu, and he's also did the live-action Scooby-Doo movie, which I do want us to get to at some point.
Oh, definitely.
As for Malkovich, dude has done so much. Just including being John Malkovich.
Of course.
The Man in the Iron Mask, Con Air, and just to name a few before he was in this.
Yeah.
So he was an icon beforehand.
Oh, yeah.
In regards to Imbruglia, 1, mwah.
Yes.
2, she hasn't really done anything outside of a few TV shows, and I guess she's a musician.
Sure.
Yeah.
Why not?
No clue.
Yeah. This is kind of an odd movie, too, because with the... For reasons I don't really understand, this movie is well known. People saw this movie. People know the actors and actresses of this movie.
Yeah.
Kind of almost for this movie, with the exception of one who is only like one other thing recognized.
But
he's done a lot of other stuff.
I've known the gif of Johnny English just sitting there with a crown on his head, doing his smug little look.
Yeah, like, people knew this movie, and yet somehow this movie doesn't have, like, a ton of meat behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even the actors who did have quite the repertoire to pull from, they didn't really seem very involved in the making of this. They just, this was a movie, they were in it, which, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but for a movie that somehow managed to implant itself in so many people's brains, there's not a lot going on.
No, there's really not. I mean, and here's the thing. So, the concept for the movie started in the mid-90s around a series of credit card commercials that Atkinson had done. And they had described in the commentary, or not even commentary. I don't think I had. No, there was commentary on this one. There was, they called them mini maxi or maxi mini movies, where like every sketch for the commercial and it was like a movie kind of. It had so like little plot and everything, and it was just what I think that's part of the weirdness of this one to begin with, is because we want to think of it as a parody of a James Bond movie, which it kind of was.
It definitely pokes the times at it,
but at the same time, it's kind of doing its own thing, kind of like what's that one? Get Smart.
Yes.
And same with like Austin Powers in its own way makes fun of spy movies of that era.
This is almost doing the same thing, but it also it also feels like a bunch of little skits put together. Yeah,
because honestly, we are at the tail end, because where we're at with the Bond movies, because this is actually a franchise I've seen every single one of, because we did it for Lads Night, minus the newest one. This is at the tail end of like the classic Bond era too, so I think that's why it feels a little off. Yes. Because it had been parodied quite a bit and made fun of for so long. Turning a sketch into a movie often has that weird, awkward placement.
Yes, I would agree.
Yeah, because we're at what, like the last, I think there was like 1 or 2 Pierce Brosnan movies after this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we have the Daniel Craig, which is very, you can definitely tell.
There's a difference.
The Bourne movies had a very big influence on the spy genre.
Yes, there's a definite shift in dynamic.
It's a very parkour shift.
It goes from suave and gentlemanly to spy and like Fast and Furious almost.
Exactly. And on this one, for the DVD, because I've started like going down like, this is what I like about this DVD. Yes. I like this one.
Because let's be real, they don't make them like they used to.
No, well,
sometimes
they do. Our actual 4th of July episode has a very nicely designed DVD set.
Yes.
But these ones were really minimal, and like for some reason they spent so much time on adding the special the special features are like profiles, not about the character. I mean, they have the characters, but there's so much more emphasis on the gadgets of it that are like barely used.
The gadgets are literally barely in the movie.
Exactly. Yeah, it's weird.
It is. It almost feels like there was meant to be more depth to it. And I think most of my bitching is because I've seen the second and third one of this franchise. Yeah. Which I would argue are significantly better than the first one.
Well, I am very interested in actually seeing them because of this one.
Yeah, and so I feel like this DVD was purely set up knowing that the second and third one were going to happen, and that like we were just gonna roll with it. This was gonna be a whole thing. And then it just kind of ended at 3.
All right. I mean, I'll get to them at some point.
And I think part of the reason I say that is because there are things like the gadgets, and then there's little like snip gags that like run throughout the whole movie that like don't really work in this first movie. But once we hit that second and third movie, like our pacing is better. Yeah, the jokes flow a little bit better, and like our main character feels a little bit more fleshed out.
Okay, good. Yeah, because I mean that, like we brought up initially already, he feels very commercially.
He does, and especially this one.
Just a bit. And so, before we dive into it, what are we drinking, Chris?
Well, unfortunately, we both had a week. And so we should be drinking, like, a martini, or, as he orders, a Bloody Mary not too spicy, but we are having water because A, it's crazy hot outside, and B, I messed us up by having to record on a different day.
Well, and also I've now had like 3 or 4 weeks of busyness, and it's just something that slipped my mind. And I think the first time in our entire episode history that I've not planned something.
We should have. There was obvious choices for this one, but alas.
Yeah.
It is a water day.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Hydrating.
I haven't actually drank water in like weeks, so this is probably for the best.
Yeah, I feel that I've had a couple heavy days myself, so
I'm living off of caffeine.
Yeah. All right, so Johnny English. We open with the main character breaking into a palace of some sort, some fancy building.
Yeah.
Old school house, rich.
Generic Bond background.
Yes, distracting the dogs with squeaky toys, which
I love this because the dogs in my house were legitimately interested in the squeaky toys.
Well, so in this very opening, like, it sets the tone for the whole movie,
yes.
like, as it just being like a gag.
Yes. The humor isn't truly Atkinson's style of humor, but it does toe real close to it.
Okay.
So, and he definitely adds his own spice with like the extra rubbery faces and like the movements being almost like stiff at times. Okay. Like he's very good at what almost feels like old school slapstick.
Okay.
But it's not quite vaudeville-y.
Yeah, it doesn't have like that bringing up baby feel, which
exactly. But it feels like and because one of the things that in interviews he's talked about with his style, because he's gone over it so much.
Okay.
Because every character he comes up with, people are like, "You're gonna keep this one forever, right?" And he's like, "I don't know, probably not."
Okay, it's like when a manga artist creates an interesting character, and then like everyone's like, "You're retiring it?"
Yes, that is exactly what has happened to this actor, and so he's talked about his method before, and despite playing mostly goofy characters, he's put he's put in a lot of thought and like study into how he acts, and so you can see the influence of the old vaudeville style and the old slapstick humor, especially with what he calls rubber face. But his favorite kind of humor is deadpan, like, seriousness in a ridiculous situation. Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, I've seen a little bit of his gags here and there. I think I've seen one part from one of the later Johnny English movies where he's chasing someone and the guy is like parkouring over stuff and he's just walking.
He walks around it, like opens the door. Yes. Yeah. That is his style to a T.
Okay.
For Johnny English. It's a little bit... It's impressive how, for someone who has multiple times said that he's pigeonholed himself into, like, an acting style, it is impressive that, like, Johnny English isn't Mr. Bean.
Yeah.
Despite, like, having a very similar feel, like, there is a distinct... Like, there's almost a dryness to Johnny English that Mr. Bean doesn't have.
Yeah, and the little snips I've seen of Mr. Bean are very... It all falls under, and I think where the similarity is that they're very situational comedies.
Yes, it's all like surrounded humor.
Yeah, and it's where he's the embarrassment and not...
Yes, but at no point is Johnny English ever embarrassed by himself.
No, it's always someone else's issue.
Which I think is the British part of this to a T.
And which is why we have similar tastes in comedies in regards to we both have a very more English sense of humor.
Yes.
But yeah. So also it also starts off like the ridiculousness of this movie of like him coming down from the skylight as well.
Yes, like it's clear that he's like spy-y.
Yeah.
But then he solves the dog problem with squeaky toys.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, the guns, it's X, Y, and Z," and then points them back at each other.
Yes.
But it also is one of those ones where it sets up like we've talked about in some of these comedies where there's a long game to it.
Yes.
And this has that very old school style where a lot of the gags are set up early on, and a good chunk of the movie is actually set up at like the first 15 minutes of it.
Oh yeah, like you know exactly how this movie's gonna go.
Yeah, it's interesting to see that actually applied nowadays, and also our weird planning style of just choosing random movies we want to talk about and having them kind of be tied together.
Yeah, it is interesting. And, like, I think part of the reason why, for me, this first one feels a little funky is it sets itself up for that long game comedy that we're expecting. But then there's so many gags that are immediate payoff that we never revisit.
It's not like Bringing Up Baby where, like, there's something said once or twice and then it's paid off that third or fourth time at the end.
There's no be with you in just a minute, Mr. Peabody.
Well,
but they're kind of, like, there's moments that get close. There is
a one moment Mr. Peabody moment throughout this entire movie, and it is the main shtick of it.
Yes.
And it's a very small one, so I think there is something to that. But it's not as blunt and straightforward.
Yes.
But from here, he's stopped by a lovely lady who's seducing him, but it turns out to be a daydream.
Of course. An embarrassing daydream.
Yeah, where we learn that Johnny English is really just a desk jockey for the agency.
I do appreciate that while this is just a pure comedy, there is a decent amount of thought put into, like, where Johnny English is in his life and, like, the background of him without being too explicit with it. Whereas he's not some schmo off the street.
Yeah.
He is in the facility. He has some form of training. No one really knows what. I'm not even sure he knows what.
I think.
But like, the details of him and, like, who he is as a person are all, like, around him. No one tells you, like, about him at all.
He exists.
He just exists, and you already know immediately looking at him everything you need to know.
Yeah. Well, and on top of that, it also sets up how because the next part, what happens is Agent 1 comes in.
Yes.
And he hands him the file, but it sets up what he's aspiring to be. And then it also has a small bit of initially setting him apart from everyone else. Because for some stupid reason, Agent 1 comes in, throws his trench coat or jacket on the coat rack, grabs the paper, immediately takes his jacket back, and it's like...
There's, like, a suaveness.
Yeah.
That's, like, the suaveness is, for me, the most, like, pointed jab at the Bond series, because you could argue the gadgets are, like, a classic go, but we really don't spend a lot of time with gadgets in this.
No.
But the amount of just unbridled suave and, like, weird sex appeal for people who have no business being sexy.
He feels like and I think actually that's a really good point, because he's very much that classic spy. And so it's setting himself against Rowan Atkinson, who, judgment of taste, I don't find him to be an attractive man. He has a very unique look, but I do not find... He reminds me of, what's his name from Despicable Me? I don't know the
Gru?
Gru.
Yes. Yeah, there are some similarities to Gru.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it, too, is, like, a long jab at, like, a lot of, especially the older Bond films, especially looking at them with today's eyes, those Bonds are not attractive. But they ended up with women a quarter of their age.
I will say some of them are quite good looking.
No, some of them were/are. A lot of it came down to, like, how much chest hair do you appreciate on a man?
Oh, you're talking about, like, like their physicality looking pretty, not like their face.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, like, there's obviously, like, a jab at, like, oh, well, being a spy automatically takes you from a 5 out of 10 to a 9 out of 10.
Okay.
Like, you're a 5, but you're a spy. Bumps you up.
Well, yeah, I can see that. Like, that's why some athletes have...
No, that's 100% why some athletes have girlfriends.
The physique.
The idea of the sport.
Yeah, I wanted to watch one or two of these before, or of the classic Bond movies before doing this, but time got away from me, and
Well, and, like, I think this movie tries even harder to, like, hammer it home, because our one beautiful sidekick woman, who is obviously meant to be, like, the lady that the Bond gets with, is an incredibly good-looking lady who's got, like, she's got that classic Bond, like, female companion style.
Yeah.
Where she's got a striking look, but she could blend in with the crowd. She's got a lot of hair. doing hair things. Just
yes.
so much hairspray. And when you put her next to the Bond, she, like, ups their value significantly. So you got your spy, you got your hot lady, all stacked on top of, like, a 3 out of 5, 5 out of 10 sort of person. Suddenly, like, it goes... Because, like, even their, like, Bond person, their number one...
It's like that whole, like, stupid high school thing of, like, you never take a picture with your pretty friends. You always take your picture with the uglier... Or the people you think are the uglier friends.
Yes, exactly.
At least for dating sites.
Yeah.
Oh, MySpace back in the day.
It was MySpace back then.
Yeah. But it also shows that English is a bumbling fool and a starstruck nerd.
And also, like, he's dumb, but he's circumstantially always got the right people around him. Because one is like, hand me the envelope, and he's already got it in his hand.
Yeah, it's Boff is his sidekick, who's always... Boff's the one who's, like, weirdly...
The only useful spy?
No, not even, because, like, Boff isn't... Who's played by Ben Miller, by the way. He's... Well, what's
he's
the right
also
term?
a bumbling idiot, though.
Yeah, he's bumbling. He's a bumbling idiot who's starstruck by the bumbling idiot.
Yes.
Like,
this movie is the most perfect example of how to fall up in a company.
Yeah.
Just be confident, and eventually you'll be promoted to spy.
Yeah. Well, and so what triggers that whole set of motions is that English doesn't know what he's doing, and he's like, "Oh, I've checked the hatch code," and then immediately, and this is where you're talking about, like, so here's what I'm starting to think of, like, the comedy falls in between that old school comedy and some little bit of, like, Monty Pythonism, where, like, there's a, like, gag and it happens immediately.
Yes.
Because immediately Agent 1's dead.
Yes, like, literally the next second. Yeah. There's not even breath.
Due to failed a submarine hatch opening.
Yes.
Which, that whole bit's never talked about the rest of the movie. It's
no.
just...
This man's incompetence cost multiple people their lives.
Yeah, because right after that we go to a funeral where he's such a dolt.
It's so funny.
It's all these, like, little sketches that don't... And that's the thing, I think, is it's a bunch of little sketches that don't really add to the whole.
Yes.
Where it feels very commercially in the fact that each little bit doesn't necessarily tie in. And,
like, you could make a story out of all of them, which is what they did, but you could have also watched each of these bits separately.
Yeah, exactly. Because doesn't he insults what the Secretary of State or something? Yeah,
I mean, he insults everyone in this movie at some point.
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah.
Even himself.
Yes.
But he's acting all pompous. He's like, oh, one of these young lads is gonna take...
One of these is the next one.
No, yes, exactly. And then they all die.
They all blow up.
Because sketchy men deliver the coffin.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I guess it happens, like, twice in the movie, too.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, just a bit. But, yeah, the beginning's really fast-paced, because right then we cut to the headquarters with Pegasus. No agent to take Agent 1's spot because they were all dead, and English is the only one left.
Surprise.
Yeah. Again, taking a joke and turning it into a movie, basically.
Yes.
Which, I mean, they described it in the special features as him being the most junior and least qualified left. Which
is almost true, because there's one person under him.
Yeah. And I don't think they even consider that a Boff a spy or anything.
I don't think he's even considered for the position.
Yep. And what does every good parody movie and spy movie need?
Gadgets?
A theme.
Oh, yes. Very true.
Because now we get the opening credits and the theme song. A man for every season, Johnny English, as he's getting ready and being a dipshit.
Yes.
Which... I also think it's great, too, because, like, it starts off with him doing, like, his whole morning routine, getting prepped, like, just the whole...
Yeah.
Pretending to be a spy.
Yes.
While actively going to be a spy.
Yes. Like, none of this is terribly serious for him.
Mm-hmm. Because he immediately gets lost. He obviously has never been in that position to be in contact with any of these people.
No.
He's probably been in the building, but he works in the basement.
Yes, he does.
Yeah. Which it's just so
it's all surprisingly fast paced because there's always a gag to like keep going.
Yes.
And we talked about how like there's like kind of a long payoff, but a lot of this movie is paced off of like joke, punchline, joke, punchline.
Yeah.
So it kind of keeps rolling.
Which, I don't know, it is a weird pacing because you say that, but it doesn't feel like, say, like Borat or,
yes.
What's his name? Road Trip, Eric Andre, his recent movie.
Uh-huh.
And it doesn't have that feeling, though.
Yeah. I think part of it is because the humor for this movie is set up to be long haul humor, and instead of having multiple long hauls building on top of each other, we get a lot of like one long haul is prepped and now we're just doing little bits.
Yeah.
And they're not bad bits. Like I giggle the whole way, but
they just don't really contribute to the movie like Austin Powers bits do.
Austin Powers bits all seem to like add a layer to him. Like all of his bumblings add a layer to him, and he learns from them.
Yeah.
He's still a bumbling idiot by the end of it, but he at least can now hold a gun.
Yeah, and they're all tied to his penis.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, he does progress, but not in like a substantial way.
No, if
anything, his best friend sidekick is the one who progresses the most.
No, well, yeah, you're right there, because honestly, his progression through this whole movie ends up just being his charm and people liking him. It's kind of like, I guess how people are attracted to like pandas and stuff of like, they want to help them. They're so stupid and they should be dead at this point, but.
Yeah, and like, I think the main lady later on puts the entirety of Johnny English's movie perfectly in, where she's like, I've wanted to spend this whole movie wanting to punch you in the face.
Yes.
But now that we're done with it, I find you charming.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's that kind of
build
up. But we get to our briefing. It's a nice show of gadgets as he tries to be number one with his code as well, and
just throws it right. This is, for me, the funniest part of the whole movie, because in the background you can hear a car swerve and hit something.
Exactly. He screwed up something, even though this, I don't know where this is in the building.
No one does, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah. But also this is the start of the gags.
Yes.
Of why he is. So there'll be a difference I'll talk about a little bit later. English is the very traditional, like, think Sean Connery style spy, where he's all about the spy work.
Yes.
And not so much the gadgets.
Yes.
And he is a bumbling idiot with the gadgets. And for the most part, I think besides 2 bits in the movie, the only time he uses the gadgets are for his own personal gain.
Yes.
And that's the only... That's the Mr. Peabody thing of, like, he's a bumbling idiot when it comes to gadgets.
Atkins described this character in one of the interviews as incredibly self-centered.
Yes.
And that is a very interesting way to look at the movie, because, like, he is. The whole movie, he is incredibly selfish, but he doesn't quite come off that way.
No.
Like, you don't see him and you're like, wow, what a selfish idiot. You're just like, wow, what an idiot.
Yeah, it's like me and Hobbs, where cats are selfish.
Yes. I mean... She's a cat.
It's adorable. English is like a cat.
Yes, English is a lot like Hobbs.
yeah. But not as chunky.
No.
But, I mean, he knocks out the secretary. I mean, he knows his stuff.
And then he knocks out the... Yeah, because he even's like, oh, I know this pin.
Yeah, you click...
click it twice and it shoots a dart and he accidentally doesn't kill her, but knocks her out.
Because here's the thing. He doesn't know it's a device.
No, he just knows of it.
Yeah, he's like, we used to do stuff like this. And I think that's also just further setting up the fact that he's more of a traditional spy than anything.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah. And, I mean, the hiding of the body's stupid. I mean, It
is, but I like it because this movie toes the line for me between awareness of the stupidity and, like, self-criminalization of this kind of humor, and also, like, no shame in this humor. So, like, it's, for me, just enough cringiness that I can make it through this whole movie, but it's a little uncomfortable because like he knows he fucked up.
Well,
but at the same time, he does nothing to help this woman.
And I think the reason you have a better time with this one is because how you've talked about you don't like embarrassment humor.
Yeah, he's not embarrassed at all.
That's part of it, but also the embarrassment humor is he's the embarrassment the whole time.
Yes.
It's not like putting someone in the spot. We know he's a dipshit from the beginning.
And like there's no surprise to his embarrassment. He makes the situation for himself, and then he lays in the bed that he made.
Yeah, because then he puts her there, and then as Pegasus is turning, or whatever the dude's name is turning around, he's actively standing in the way and shifting back and forth stupidly.
Yes.
But this is actually where I think the movie's a little clever and like just telling everyone exactly what it is.
Yes.
We get reveals of everything at the very beginning.
Yes, we do. And I actually really like this because most of these spy movies spend so much effort into trying to be a mystery, which it's a spy film. I don't really care if it's a mystery or not. Like, I don't really want it to be solvable. I don't even really care if it's a mystery. Like, we could be spying on the same guy the whole time, and I'd be happy with that.
Oh my god, it's Jason Bourne.
Yes. And, like, there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, but it does feel like a very washed out style of spy. This movie, from the get-go, tells you everything you need to know and the answer to all your questions, and then plays itself.
And the reason it has to is because it is playing off the spy tropes.
Yes.
Very much so like how Austin Powers heavily pulled from James Bond, and especially like Dr. Evil, we know from the get-go that
it's Dr. Evil's the bad guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I like this one because it parodies itself so hard here without being like over the top like Austin Powers does. It's still a lot. Yeah. But it's taking its parody with a level of like sophistication where if you hadn't seen this movie and you didn't know what level of parody this was at, you could fall down the red herring rabbit holes of like, well, maybe it's not that guy. Yeah. I mean, he, like the prime minister guy says, like, he's a asset to the throne.
Well, we haven't said that just yet. We get revealed the plot of the movie that there's the royal crown and jewels. They're going to be revealed at the Tower of London because they've been restored with the help of their sponsor, as they put it, the flouncy Frenchman Pascal Savage.
And I appreciate how this movie leans so hard into English territory that it bends around and bites its own butt. Yes. It's like, what would a spy movie in England be here for? I know, the crown jewels. Yeah. Where will we put the crown jewels?
Exactly. It's a stupid thing
Tower
of like,
London.
You wouldn't even have like the secret agents there. You'd have like real security, not one solo agent protecting the place.
This is the Tower of London, but not in this world.
No. But I do like this level of writing since it's a little bit of cleverness to the villain in the motive and like the red herring and setting up the whole package because
it's so dumb it's clever.
Well, and on top of that, like Pascal's name is Pascal Savage, which I'm probably butchering that. I don't care. I don't like the French language, so.
And this movie just spends the entire time dribbling upon the French.
And also making fun of the English here and there, too, so it's not like...
It's trying real hard all around to just insult everyone.
But Pascal comes from Latin, which means relating to Easter, which could potentially represent rebirth, and Savage translates to savage.
Okie dokie.
Yeah. His last name is Savage. It's
perfect.
The Savage Frenchman is a savage.
Oh my goodness. I'm so glad we're aptly named. But also, like, Johnny English is literally John English.
Exactly. I was trying to, for the intro, I was trying to think of, like, what's the most American name I can...
America. Yeah. America is the most American name you can think of.
Well, but we don't know, like, there are people out there whose last name is English.
I know. That's what makes it so funny.
Yeah.
Is, like, there isn't really, like, a good comparison here, because, like...
It'd be like naming a German dude Deutschland, or Germany as a last name.
That would be hilarious. But yeah. like, it's so English, it's funny.
Yeah. No, it's... I mean, to be honest, like, everyone talks about, like, how in, like, the U.S. of, like, oh, North and South Dakota. You couldn't think of better names.
No, we couldn't.
You go over to Europe and a lot of other countries, and a lot of it sounds better, but it's like the French. It's like French menus where it's like it sounds super fancy, and then you actually translate it, it's like carrots on a bed of cream sauce.
Delicious.
I don't know.
Yeah, but like the character Johnny English spends all of his time absolutely railing against the French.
Oh yeah.
But the movie spends all of its time railing against the English.
And the French too.
Mostly the English from like the writer's standpoint.
Yeah.
Because they throw the queen straight under the bus.
Oh yeah. Because I mean, from here we do like there's some good little bits here too. Because also like the secretary being pulled off.
Yeah, like she like in the background they're putting her on a gurney and wheeling her out the door.
Yeah, and that's the thing is there's a lot of like little background comedy that happens that
yes.
If you're not paying attention to, I missed it, a lot of it in my first watch through.
Oh yeah, no, this is definitely one of the ones where like you can look at the main like foreground if you want, but most of the interesting stuff's happening in the background and it's not even in focus. It's like blurry in the background.
Just to let you know that stuff's happening.
Exactly.
But now we cut to the Tower of London where they're revealing the jewels.
I have no idea if this is what the Tower of London inside looks like, but I like to think not at all.
I don't remember. I've been inside the Tower of London. Love the ravens around it. But I couldn't tell you either. I think it's in an upper part where like you can't really get to maybe.
It would seem logical,
yeah.
But at the same time, architecturally later on, I have questions about that.
I do too. I know exactly the part that we're having questions about. But it is time for English to mingle inconspicuously.
I do like how, while he is a bumbling idiot, he is a bumbling idiot who is trying.
Yeah.
And so he does go over some, like, fairly basic things that, like, okay, yeah, like, I, as a non-spy, would also put snipers on the roof and ensure that the jewels are safe behind the security code thing.
Yep.
And yes, I also will go mingle and make sure the guests are all correct. But, like, let's be real, he's here to talk to the lady.
No, exactly. And he's just an absolute dick to Boff.
Yes.
Because he tells him, go on patrol. I'll blend in. He's like, oh, but I could mingle too. And he's like, no, you're going on patrol.
Yeah.
All right, sir. But yeah, this is where we kind of have a start of certain things of Boff is very much the gadget spy when it comes to everything, and English is, like we've said, the traditional one. And
I think part of the like start of a good gag here is English himself keeps telling Boff, like, from this point on, like, oh, you just don't get it. You're not a classic spy like I am.
Yeah.
And it's true. Like, he's parodying the more classic Bond spy, and Boff would very much be more of the modern James, like,
yeah.
Minus the fact that he, like, can't think for himself.
I mean, he does to a point.
I think if he was given more freeway, there would be a lot more improvement. But he is young and untrained.
The junior agent.
Yes.
Get him a lollipop.
Yes. This man deserves a sticker.
And so now we're introduced to the character Lorna Campbell, played by Natalie Imbruglia. And
she is, of course, the beautiful lady who will be won over, but also maybe a spy.
And he's the very stereotypical agent of trying to hit on her and kind of failing. I also appreciate that we are parodying the specific Bond who walks up to a random stranger who may or may not be a spy and immediately just says, hello, name's English. Johnny English. I'm a spy. Yeah, like, this man is not a secret agent because the entire world knows he's a secret agent. He's just an agent at this point. Oh god, that's making me think of, it's like in Final Fantasy of, like, Avalanche trying to be secretive, and then Barrett, the only big black guy in the original game, is yelling at everyone, we're Avalanche, don't mess with us. Yes. It's like... Well, I know exactly who you are now, thank you. Yeah, exactly. Yes. But also, in comes the Frenchman. Who is very ridiculous. Portrayed by, I'm blanking on his name. John Malkovich. That's it. I'm an idiot. It's okay. With the wig, it's hard to recognize him. That is honestly the weird thing about John Malkovich is, like, the handful of things I've seen him in, I always forget, like, who he is, because
he's very good at blending into his role.
Yeah, because he being John Malkovich and being John Malkovich is very much different than this role. It's very different than Con Air, and it's
and this is such a parody of a French person that it's really hard to see anything other than that. Because he's got the extra shirt, he looks like a French painter almost, but he's not. He's supposed to be a CEO of one of the biggest prison companies in the world,
who for some reason was
also does jewels.
No, he was the financer on that.
Yes, that's it.
That's why, because he's making all that money. But I do love all the insults to his face of
immediately.
I'm glad he's not here. The only thing the French should host is an invasion. And it's just that's
there's a lot of low blows in here.
But I love that he plays off of it too, because he mistakes Savage for being a waiter.
Yes.
That he brought him the drink, even though he's never talked to this man before. And he's also just well, that's the thing. Us French are the best waiters, which is a good nod to what's happening down the line of waiting.
Yes.
Yeah. But there is fuckery afoot
as
the Frenchie gives his speech.
And it is with this speech that the delightful red herrings truly play out. Because with it, you are nicely convinced, okay, maybe this isn't the bad guy.
Yeah, because while he's doing that, the power goes out, and we see all this stuff happening, and Campbell runs off.
Yes.
So it's starting to build up the stupidity spy stuff.
But also there's some thoughtful writing in there.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of bad jokes, but there is some background level of interest as to keeping it not really a proper whodunit, but at least enough for you to be I knew it all along.
Yeah, one of those ones where it's not like the original Murder on the Orient Express, where at the end Perrault's oh, it was you because you're from this one town in Germany, and that is where you are from.
And everyone knows that they do not have the letter W there.
And the fact that you ate pine also indicated that you got it from this person who gave the poison. It's how the fuck are you supposed to...
This one sets itself up to be like that.
Yeah.
But then instead just straight up tells you the answer, and now you have to figure out if they're bluffing or not.
Yeah, it's a more drawn out version of Big Trouble in Little Chinatown. That scene where they're going back and forth on the plot, and Kurt Russell's just what the fuck are you guys talking about?
Yes.
It has a little bit of that where it's trying to but it tells you everything, because she says, "Oh, I was the one who helped on the jewels. I helped restore them." And
but at the same time, at no point does Johnny English ever think it's anyone other than this man.
Yeah, exactly. Which, I mean,
he's not wrong.
He's got some chops.
Yeah.
But yeah, now it's we get a little bit of some stuff. I love how English bumbles up, knocks out one of the servants, I think.
It's the head of security or something like that.
Yeah. And then proceeds to have a comedic behind the door battle.
Fights himself.
Yes, which honestly is... I think this is where this movie shines, in the fact that even though he screws up, he's always rolling with the punches. He's adaptable.
He hits himself and rolls with his own punch.
He's a man for every season.
He really is.
Yeah.
And I think this is why Johnny English works for me, because while he is constantly in a state of embarrassment, he does manage to fix all of his own problems 90% of the time.
Yeah.
And it's never oh, he actually solved the problem. He just lies his way out of problems in a creative way.
He stumbles into the solutions on accident.
Yeah. Fighting himself and claiming that he's locked the bad guy in the room. Don't go in there.
Yeah. And it's also the importance of showing the full picture, and I'll plug in here my unsolicited watch Cannibal Holocaust.
Of course.
Anytime I can. You have no... I've got to I'm now on the verge of getting 2 other people to watch this movie.
Oh my goodness, a record.
You have no clue. I am excited. One of them, my mother.
Oh my goodness. Is she okay? You have her hostage.
She's the one who brought it up.
Wow, boy.
Yeah, because I plug it all the time. But now we get the reveal that the crown jewels are stolen as English is trying to redirect the events of the night, saying, "Oh, but look, this is the symbol of England. We have to watch this. Look at all this shit.
Look at the beautiful shininess."
And everyone's shocked because
it's gone.
It's gone. But he has no clue because it's backstory.
Of course.
But now we cut to HQ where they're in a frenzy to figure out what to do next. The secretary is paralyzed, as far as we're aware.
Poor gal.
And just so many of the dumb decisions, which I love that they try and misplant the suspicion, but English is so hard on, like, he just has, like, it's the Frenchman. It has to be the Frenchman.
Yes.
No one else in the room besides a Frenchman would do this.
And, like, he doesn't have any proof, ever.
No.
He never really has good, like, hard evidence to show anyone. Most of this movie is, like, him guessing.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it is him just being like, well, I saw him. He was in the room being creepy.
Well, and even when he does get the evidence, it's a bumbling of it, too.
Yes.
Like, it never pans out the way he expects it to.
Exactly. And so, like, but at the same time, this movie is like, you gonna call my bluff? Because, like, I'm telling you who the bad guy is. Look at the Frenchman.
Yep.
Definitely not any of these other characters.
Yeah, yeah.
Because we really don't know about the lady yet. We really aren't sure about her.
Nope.
There's always that chance, because we saw other people at the party, like, there's that chance that this isn't him at all, and we're gonna, at the end, be like, surprise, he was innocent all along.
Yeah.
Like, this movie wouldn't have been above that sort of plot.
No.
But instead, they were like, nope, didn't lie to you at all, did we?
No, we're straightforward, we're straight-laced.
Exactly like Johnny English.
Yeah. But speaking of English, he is on the case, which
is good, because he's the only person available.
Which, honestly, like, because the car has such little importance in this, because, like,
Yes.
Boff is super in love with the gadgets, which, I mean, it's a Bond movie, you've got to show a car with gadgets, but
yeah.
It doesn't really pay off either, because we've got, like, one more scene with the car.
Yeah, like, the car is barely in this movie.
Yeah. And, well, yeah, we've got two more. But it kind of does pay off a little bit, just...
I mean, there's the final gag.
Yeah. Which,
literally the final gag.
Yeah. Oh, right, because we do have the other little bit gag of that we forgot to mention of him describing the man he attacked.
I appreciate the just, like, guess who level bullshit that this person has become.
Yeah.
Like, it's so outrageous that you're like, surely this is the point where he gets caught.
Low-key, dude, looks like the pirate from SpongeBob.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit.
It's a little bit redder.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we get his incompetence as he says, fuck all to police procedure.
Yeah.
And again, paralleling the gag with the him having his back turned to everything.
He's always facing the wrong way.
It's revealed how the jewels were stolen. It was through a hole in the ground.
Again, I have questions.
Yes, this is the exact thing that I had questions about too, of like...
This is a giant hole through some very thick stone.
Giant hole, very thick stone. And even then, if you why shut off the power?
To get... Yes.
Like, when you could have just pulled it from underneath... Oh, there might have been... Well, that's the thing. They don't even talk about, like, an alarm system over it. They're just in a case.
And also, like, you're telling me that case was just sitting on the floor and we cut a hole and, like, Wile E. Coyote'd the jewels out? Like,
yeah, how even get around, like, get up to them? Like,
yeah,
they're on a raising and... No,
I don't know. There's a thing that comes down. There's, like, a shutter.
Yeah.
Again, as an architect, I would like to see a cross-section. I would like to see a diagram of how this heist went down, please.
Yeah.
Because I do not see the logic in it. But that does, at the very least, this stupid hindsight does kind of lend itself to, like, that red herringness of, like, if you think too much about this problem, you're going the wrong way.
Yeah, it's just a stupid gag and you move on from it, basically.
Exactly. But because it's a spy movie, you don't want to. You want to think about the hole in the ground and where it could possibly go. And
oh yeah, there's more architecture questions down the line.
Yes, I have so many.
because going down, he sends Buff down to go investigate.
Of course he does.
Who then gets stuck, and he gently pushes him down.
He jumps down the hole after him.
Yeah.
Crushes him.
That's so stupid.
Don't worry, I landed on something soft.
That's me, sir.
Oh, good.
Now we're under the tower, which English is so... I have a fondness for his bullshit knowledge.
Yes. He has trivia facts stored away.
But
they're all wrong.
In some regards.
Yeah.
Because he says that he can do echolocation because the Bodine monks of the Al-Mahreb Mountains and their sonic chants in E-flat, which... I have a feeling it's a nod to Doctor Who and the sonic screwdriver right there. It
does feel a little bit like it, doesn't it?
Also, he is right. It is the mountain range is correct, and the Boudin people are a group of nomadic Arabic tribes that inhabit the mountains.
He has some of the facts right, and there are people who have developed a style of echolocation. It is not this.
No, not at all.
And you don't just do it.
Well, and on top of that, like, all his facts, like, tie into stuff, because I'm on the opposite side where I'll just drop some random facts. I killed a conversation yesterday with some friends on Discord, bringing up that Steely Dan is named after a steam-powered dildo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Wild Wild West, for having me have that random knowledge.
Yes, Johnny English definitely feels like he has a lot of random knowledge, and he has pieced it together to create a false fact.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I didn't look up any of their echolocation. I don't know if it's an actual thing or not.
So, I do know that, like, and again, like, how scientific is this? I don't know, I didn't research this heavily.
No.
But I have done some research on human echolocation, because I'm that weird person. But it is never just singing in the key of E flat. It was a lot of clicking, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Because it's not, you have the one noise come out, and then you have to wait for it to bounce back.
And, like, hearing the difference of it.
Yeah.
And, like, you can't hear the difference if you're singing I'll Take the High Road to Scotland all the way down the dark.
I will say, I think it is a nod to Doctor Who and some of the bullshittery that happens.
Yes.
Because he does something almost exactly similar later on that Doctor Who has used to unlock shit.
Oh, 100% this is, like, a jab at, like, English TV nonsense. Yeah. But, like, it has just enough real facts in it for, like, if you did a very fast Google, you're like, well, he does know some things.
Yeah.
They're just wrong? But
they're
not wrong. He's just put them together incorrectly.
Yeah, and speaking of incorrect, I don't know how the hell this happens, but they find the conspirators who are just at the tail end of the tunnel.
I'd like to think that this is a one-way tunnel. There's no branches, it's just there and back.
But also, like, why are they still there? Are they just as dumb as English?
Yes, they are. Because, like, we find out later on that they, like, are just as incompetent.
English is supposed to be the henchman of
the good
agents.
Guys, yeah.
Okay.
He just accidentally gets promoted.
And so now it is time for the second part with the car, where it's on the run now because they're stealing the jewels and they're transporting them in a hearse.
Nope. I don't know if I would choose a hearse. I don't think they go super fast, but okay.
I mean...
Also, as a silly death person, I appreciate that they just throw the casket in there. There's a locking mechanism that you have to click.
Lies.
They just chuck it in there.
How dare you bring logic into an illogical movie?
I'm sorry that, like, it is a dream of mine to own a hearse.
It is mine, too. I mean,
So, as someone who has a dream about things, I researched the ever-loving shit out of it.
Do your parents also give you that look, or like that look of a little disappointment when you tell them that?
I have yet to tell them I want a hearse.
Okay.
I have so many weird cars. Do I really need another?
No.
Well, where would I put it?
Yeah. Well, I've told mine, I just want to use it for, like, hauling lumber because, one, it's cheaper than buying a truck.
It can be, yes.
Yeah.
I will warn you, though, most of them have a issue with the front windshield leaking. Again, I've done a lot of research on this.
That's fine. But, like, I tell them that, and they're like, don't be that guy. And it's like, no, a lot of people want
to be that guy.
Yeah, and then my mom tells me, oh, yeah, there's this salvage show I watch. They drive a hearse. And I'm like...
Yes, I know. I watch that show, too.
I don't watch it, but it's like, yeah, I know what I'm into. And I think they expect me to drive it to work. And I'm like, no, that's not why I want that.
I would totally drive it to work.
I'm not going to.
I would drive it to work and expect all of my coworkers to ooh and ah at my hearse.
But speaking of back to the cars, their car is being towed. And
of course it is. Because he parked it in the wrong spot.
And I love what they do of, instead of doing the spy move and commandeering a civilian car, they commandeer the tow truck.
With their own car on it.
Yes.
Yes.
It's a very situation, and it's, again, him going with the flow of everything.
Yes, and, like, it's never truly the wrong answer. Mm-hmm. He just fucks it up.
Yeah. And there are some good gags to this scene, too. Because
I like this a lot.
It's a long chase. And at one point, he gets caught by a speeding cam giving a stupid look, and then proceeds to blow it up.
Yes, and when he blows it up, there is, like, a zoom in. He has rockets on the front of the car. Mm-hmm. He could theoretically take out the hearse. Yeah. But he doesn't.
Again, he only uses the gadgets for his own personal gain. Yes. Catching these villains is part of the spy game. It's not part of his personal gain.
Yes, exactly.
But I also love the bit where they drop the car.
Yes.
And they drop it on a trailer that you can't see.
Yes, it's so stupid.
It's a good gag.
It is.
And then we get another little bit of, once the chase ends, they find them, and it's the subtle little bit of humor / not really misdirecting.
Yes, and this is for me where we finally get, like, a good balance between him and his sidekick underling, because he's making an absolute fool of himself at this funeral.
Yes, because they follow an actual hearse into a actual funeral,
and he then spins this poor family's funeral, like, attempting to arrest them.
I know,
and break into the coffin.
It's another little build up of a gag. It's a pastor or priest that he's stomping on the grave of, or stomping on the coffin of. Yeah, it's
and he is saved by his sidekick, who is also bumbling and dumb. But he's not uselessly bumbling and dumb. He has, like, the smarts to come and be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." He's a little crazy.
And another tie to bringing up baby a little bit. He knows how to get out of situations, but he digs the hole a little bit more, because he says his name is Dr. Boff.
Yes, who is his friend.
Yeah, and is trying to, like, he's like, oh, he's not supposed to be out until this date, and just, like, making stupid lie after stupid lie.
And, like, the date is impossibly far in the future.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, wait, you're predicting when he'll be cured? Yeah.
Yeah, and, like, but both of them together make almost an agent.
Okay, so hear me out on this. It is it's a very dumb, Holmes and Watson.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will get you to watch that at some point. Of course. Will Ferrell one.
I know. I will eventually watch it, mostly because my husband loves Will Ferrell.
Well, I think you'll also appreciate some of the comedy, because it's like this, but it's like Step Brothers stupid.
Okay. I do find Step Brothers humorous.
Exactly.
I just don't want to watch it every single day.
I don't blame you.
My husband does, though.
I know. He keeps trying to say, oh, I'm going to find a movie Nico hates. And it's like, no, I won't bitch about it.
But I don't want to watch it every single time you quote it.
Exactly. And so now the pair awkwardly toddle off.
I like how they get a little bit farther away, and you can hear them whispering, run, run, run.
Yeah. Why'd you do that? So stupid. But now we cut to it's fully revealed that the Frenchie is up to something.
Of course he is. He is the bad guy.
He did the deed.
I knew it the whole time.
We get a little bit of his goal. They're good.
I appreciate that, again, Bond style, our goal is to rule the world.
Well, we don't have that just yet. And not even rule the world. It is such a stupid...
Why rule the world when you can rule the tri-state area, Dr. Doofenshmirtz?
No, that's basically what it is, because part of their goal, they're going to kidnap the Archduke of Canterbury.
Because we need him to do government stuff?
Well...
This is written and starred by British people.
Yes.
And they went, okay, what does the average person of the rest of the world know about our government? They know about the Archduke, and they know the Queen kind of is in charge.
We know Canterbury's in England.
We know that's in there.
Yeah.
The rest of it, they don't know.
Yeah.
Just throw it in there.
Yeah.
They'll never question it.
But we also get an early setup of the DVD fumble down the line.
Yes.
And then we cut back real quick to HQ, and we are identifying the lackey as Vendetta and Klein.
Haha.
And for those who don't know, Klein is German for small.
Yes.
So
it's adorable.
It's a joke. It's like what's? Oh no, I'm thinking of Indiana Jones. I was thinking of Odd Job, who in Austin Powers was renamed Random Tasks.
Yes.
Yeah. Just because he's short in.
Yes.
Oh yeah, and he's also short in the games. That's okay. That's where my brain went. In the original GoldenEye game.
Yes.
Yeah. But English is told to leave Savage alone. He's a good, upstanding citizen. And not even a citizen. He's a good Frenchie.
Yeah, he's not a citizen at all. but I like how we've given the audience its own, like, aha moment with Johnny English, where, like, we are now firmly in the same pocket as him, but it never, like, we are now in the same side as him, as opposed to being, like, the outside view.
Yeah.
Which I kind of like, as opposed to, like, leaving the mystery for the last possible second to reveal. Like, we've already told you exactly everything.
Yeah.
There is no more mystery. Now the mystery is, can this man do anything?
Yeah. Well, and on top of that, we know he's now the target, because Savage did tell his henchman that, hey, he might be an idiot, but he's an idiot that keeps showing up nonetheless. Which
I appreciate, because the logic the bad guys have is, like, such real person logic.
Yeah.
Because they're like, well, he's not really dangerous, and I bet you he'd kill himself if we just left him alone.
Well,
but he does keep showing up.
Well, and that's the thing, is because he knows if English draws enough attention to him, eventually the right person's gonna pay attention.
Yeah. Yeah. And, like, it's that kind of, like, audience ideaed logic that kind of, like, adds a little bit of, like, elevation to some of the story here. Whereas, like, it could have been all one big gag, but instead they thought about it from an outside perspective.
Yes.
And gave a handful of people just a few brain cells.
Yeah. It is exactly like how the director of Bringing Up Baby had the mention that he felt like everyone was too crazy. Yeah. This one, our main cast is a bunch of idiots, but everyone else around them isn't.
Yes.
Yeah.
At least not as much of an idiot.
Oh, yeah. But now English and Buff are going to go, which by the way, I absolutely hate the spelling of Buff's name.
It is terrible. His first name is Angus, if you would prefer.
I don't know.
I don't like it either.
I don't know. Angus just sounds so Australian.
It does. But also, like, Kansas sounds like beef.
I know. But they're deciding to go back or behind their boss's back. Which there's a little bit that English knows what he's talking about, where, like, he immediately says hi to Felch, their mechanic, and then, like, they're a full, like, 4 or 5 car lengths away, and he's like, Felch doesn't sound like that. Yeah. And then, of course, they're trying to be killed, as we don't have a spy movie without a good old garage shootout.
This is true.
Where everything seems to be going their way, but English screws up and knocks out Boff.
Yes.
Yeah. And English can do no wrong, as them getting knocked out, it happens to everyone. They just snuck up on him. There must have been 3 of them.
It happens.
It happens.
And I like how Boff takes all of Johnny's criticisms very, like, literal.
Yeah.
Like, he's, like, legit trying to be better at his job sort of criticisms.
It's blind leading the blind.
Yes.
Yeah. And so from here we spy a bike that's outside of a sushi bar, and we meet Spy Lady again.
Hello, Spy Lady.
Campbell, the soup.
But actually...
Which, oh my god, he is such a dipshit in this scene of... Like, his Japanese is bad, that we're told. I don't know it enough to translate it.
I don't know whatever he said.
And here's the thing. So it doesn't go parody like Scary Movie Japanese, where like he sounds like he's saying something right, but not like Scary Movie where it's like just saying random Japanese brands.
He's learned a phrase.
And it's not the right phrase either.
It is the incorrect phrase for this instance. The man has never used a chopstick in his life.
No, not at all. And even then, like, he doesn't know what he's trying because he picks up sea urchin gonad.
Yes.
Which I can't remember what the actual name is.
I don't remember either. But I do appreciate that the beautiful Spy Lady soup immediately attempts to, like, put him off of his food with an interesting fact, which feels like like, her and I could be friends about that.
He's the most acquired of all tastes.
Most people are put off by the fact that they eat out of their butt.
I think part of what it is she's trying to, like, hype him up a little bit and just, like, play into him pretending.
Well, and she'd already, like, had this interaction with him earlier where he was trying to be that suave spy, and she's, like, playing along with him.
Yeah.
So she's still playing this game.
She's playing spy along with him.
Yes, she is.
Yeah.
And, like, we really don't ever follow her at the beginning, so we really don't know how competent of a person she is either. They might be two bumbling idiots perfect for each other.
Well, actually, I think that's accurate. The whole movie, too. It's just a trio of idiots.
It is a trio of idiots who happen to save England.
God damn it. It's the anime setup again.
Yes. Yes, it is. 2
guys and a girl.
Yep.
It's also another setup, but that's for another movie. But it is nighttime, and it's time to go overkill on a plane.
Of course, because what else are you going to do?
Oh, wait, we forgot the tie bit.
Oh, yeah, he gets stuck in the sushi belt.
Yeah, it's
dumb, but, like, at the same time, it does emphasize how little he has ever been around a conveyor belt.
Yeah, or sushi in general.
Just the outdoor world, really.
Yeah. But now it's nighttime.
Yes. Time for plane.
Which, I love that Boff has to tell us the plan. Even though English is like, I've landed in the Serengeti with just... Actually, he's very much so the, Applegate.
Yeah.
There's a weird amount of similarities to bringing up Baby.
Yeah. And there's no way for us to know if that's not true or not, because he does clearly have some skill and training.
Yeah.
Because, like, he can paraglide, he can...
land on a skyscraper, climb down and cut open glass.
Like he has skills. Someone has taught him how to do things. So, I don't know, maybe he did survive on just some, I don't remember, gumdrops and dental floss or something.
Yeah, some shit like that. Just nods to, like, the ridiculous spy crap that they give them in other movies.
Exactly.
Yeah. Which, we'll do Doctor Strangelove someday. I like the list of their loadouts.
Yes.
Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, the other thing I like about this scene is they do a good job of setting up the buildings to look similar on the outside.
Yes.
Also, it shows his mistrust in technology because Boff is like, hey, this thing can auto-glide you to where you need to go. He's like, no, I can do it.
I can do it myself.
I can do it manually.
And he's not wrong. He can.
Yeah.
He's just stupid.
Misguided.
He's just stupid.
Yeah. But I also like that the buildings are drastically different on the interior.
Yes.
Because if you're not paying attention, immediately going into it, I know you picked up on this. Immediately when he goes in, it's like, oh, that's a hospital guard.
Oh, yes, it is.
Like this.
That is Hospital Beige. I know it well.
Yes, it's very...
That name plaque, I know exactly who makes it, and I know who installs it.
Exactly. And so, I mean, he, again, plays his fuck up very well because as he's holding everyone hostage, he's like, you sickos, what are you doing to these people? You're
like
human testing.
And I like how, after he's been found out that he is in the wrong building, he plays it off as like, oh, I was just testing you.
You guys did a good job.
Good job.
I'll be out of here.
Did you go to the wrong building, sir? No, I was securing the perimeter.
Yes. Which, also, nice hospital beds.
Yes, this is a very nice hospital.
High-end hospital. And now we are in the correct building, which, bad trigger etiquette this whole movie.
Yeah, really.
Their fingers are on that trigger.
Anybody at any moment could die.
Yes.
Potentially themselves.
Oh, and also, I don't know if this is a thing. Do you know why he says Fandango when he jumps out the airplane?
No idea.
Okay.
It just does.
Just does.
I kind of wonder if it's supposed to be like his own catchphrase, but like we never really play off the joke ever again.
Yeah.
So I don't know, dude.
I'm glad they don't. It's just a weird moment.
It is.
But they're scanning the building now, which we get to the Archbishop bit of like them putting the mask on the guy, and it's like I have questions about this.
I do too.
One, why does the dude get nude to put on a head mask?
Maybe he doesn't want to get spirit gum on his clothes.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
But, like, we don't have an apron or another shirt for him to wear. And also, like, why do we have to pull our underwear down so low?
And prep what's clearly, like, 2 or 3 days in advance. Are they just testing it?
I would think so, since we, according to this movie, far off digitally scanned his head.
Oh, yeah, I forgot
and then,
about
like, 3D printed it.
Yeah.
And now we're just putting it on a random person.
Random dude who has the very famous tramp stamp of Jesus is coming. Look busy.
Did it bother you that his butt tattoo is not aligned to anything?
No.
It's off center. Some of the words are crowded. It looks like a child wrote it with Sharpie on his ass.
Yeah. It feels like he's a henchman who got drunk with some buddies, and his buddy's like, oh, I got a tattoo gun in my basement.
Yes. No real tattoo artist put this tattoo on this man's ass.
Yeah. But this is the part where they do have this is one of the running gags with it.
Yes.
Like, one of, like, the 3 running gags I'd say this movie has.
Yes.
That builds up to multiple parts. But the pair is interrupted with Klein, where Atkin, English knocks the dude out. He runs into another guy before. He runs into Vendetta, knocks him out, and he's like, oh yeah, here's the gadgets I'm using. Real spy tools, not gadgets. Poison.
Yes. And he has 2 different ones. One, a muscle relaxer that will turn you into a floppy fish.
And another that will...
to make you tell the truth.
Yes, forever.
Which...
or whatever.
He doesn't really say how long any of these last.
No.
We can assume not permanently, because, he hits himself.
Yeah, and also Klein and Vendetta appear back later.
Yeah, I do appreciate the recurring henchmen.
Yeah, which, I mean, because he screws up because Klein comes in, he stops Klein in a good spy move.
Yeah, like he actually, again, he does know some things.
But realizes he's mixed up the poisons and accidentally pricks himself too, which I also love this little gag because it's an idiot understanding another idiot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
But
I also like how accidentally he sets himself up later for success.
Exactly. His other screw up saves them getting out of the building after his love interest comes in and saves the day.
Yes.
The soup lady.
Soup lady.
But now it is time for the reception, which... nice reappearance of the Secretary of State who he insulted.
Yes,
I love
that's
how
very true.
The poison's still not working, and they have the champagne.
Yeah, that's very true.
It's a funny bit.
It is a good bit.
But again, it's a one-time gag that doesn't really...
yeah, there's a lot of funny bits. There's just nothing really tying any of them together.
Yeah, because it's up to his soup lady to disguise that he's paralyzed by dancing with him.
I appreciate Soup Lady as both her and his friend Boff, with the right training and experience, feel like they could be real spies someday. And at no point do you ever feel like Johnny English is ever going to be a real spy.
I've actually got a question for you.
Uh-huh.
You said his friend Boff.
Yes.
Do you think Boff is getting paid?
Is Boff an unpaid intern?
I wonder
Boff
if
might be an unpaid intern.
Boff might just be a friend that Johnny English has to have, or has over, because he's like, oh, this guy makes me look better at that.
But, well, he is working in the same section of the basement at the beginning.
Yeah.
So he definitely works there. But he might be a intern.
Volunteer.
A volunteer. Honestly, that wouldn't be too far off for this movie.
Yeah. That's a good... I don't know.
I don't know.
I haven't seen the others, so I don't know if Boff returns or not.
I will not spoil anything for you.
All right. But the jig is up as English is put back on desk orders because the henchmen come back and tell his superior that, hey, he assaulted us in our headquarters.
Yes.
Poor English. And the guy's like, I hope to never see you again. But if he's getting rid of this secret agent, do they not have any other secret agents now?
Just the lady.
Interpol. Oh, that's right. Because it's revealed fully that she is a spy and she's with Interpol, though.
She is with Interpol.
She's been working on this case for years.
Which is a logical way to think about the whole, like, idea of MI6
Mm-hmm.
James Bond-esque, where, like, they have a limited number of people, and you can't just, like, pick up a new guy. You have to train him and all that.
It's like the Kingsman, where it's like,
yeah,
you have to go through a school and there's training to pick out who's the best.
Yeah, and, like, we clearly haven't thought that we would have all of them wiped out at once, because we have nobody ready to take over.
Nope. And I also like how, because right after this, the Frenchie reveals their big plot of Plan B of setting up for the final gag too, which I like that he has a backup, because he's
I do too.
English has seen too much. He might have blabbed to someone. We're going to do something different.
Yeah, I appreciate how it, like, and it's still absurd.
Mm-hmm.
It's still completely outlandish.
They force the queen to abdicate. The royal corgi is threatened. The treasure is returned, but it's revealed that Savage is from the long line and he is next to take the throne.
Yeah, I appreciate how, again, this movie is like, how much will people really understand about England and English nonsense?
There's the corgi. We kind of vaguely know about the queen. This movie very smartly, like, never really shows you the queen, just kind of like the idea of the queen. And the corgi does not have a credit.
Offended. That was a wonderfully acted corgi.
I am actually
in this movie all of 5 seconds.
Hey, I still would like it to have a credit.
Its name is Boris. It's Charlie. Its name is Charlie. But there's, like, that running gag of, like, well, theoretically everyone's next in line for the crown if you go back far enough.
Yeah.
And instead of, like, truly, like, explaining to the audience, like, how random Frenchman is next in line after the queen and her corgis leave.
Which I wanted to do a little bit of digging, but
like, how far back you have to go?
Yeah, how far back, because, fun fact for people who don't know, the British royal family is actually German.
Yes, but in this movie, they're French.
They're related to the French. I mean, everyone intermarried back then, so...
Yeah, but, like, this movie completely is like, well, don't worry about it. He's next.
Yeah.
And we've double-checked. I like how even the movie's like, and we double-checked. You're next.
And I love, like, his fake surprise of, like,
Me?
What? Really? I would never have expected that.
As if someone who is that far up the line of succession, I was like, one person retires and you're next? And you're like, what, me? No.
Not any of the children.
Because it's clearly meant to be the queen. It's not even like a random queen. It's the queen.
Yeah.
And it's like, no one is pretending that this woman doesn't have the rest of her family.
Oh, shit. I'm just realizing we have an answer to the whole age-old meme of who's going to outlive who, Betty White or the queen.
Yes. Yes, we do.
We now have an answer, sadly.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Whatever. Just stupid random thought that came to me. But now we are off to English is in the dumps, but Campbell is there to pull him back in, which...
I like how his dumps are like, it took him half an like half an hour to reach his all-time low.
Yeah, which it's right into it of like, he's like, I'm off the case. She's like, I know, but I'm on it. I'm bringing you in.
Yes. And like, he tries so mildly to be like, no, leave me.
He's technically on probably paid leave at the moment.
I'm not sure they paid him the first time.
He's getting paid.
Yeah, I don't think he's being paid for active duty.
It'd probably take a little bit of a cut, but he's still getting paid.
I think he might be getting time and a half, and that'd be it.
Yeah. But we have their nice little, like, romantic bubble of being burst of her calling him out on his dipshittery, and like,
yes.
I do actually love you, even though we've met twice or 3 times.
Again, this movie spends just enough time giving characters lines that the audience is thinking to be like, we know. We are aware.
No, because it immediately steps over that boundary of like, he's like, well, maybe we should discuss this over plastic toys and soft cheese.
Yes.
And she's like, what? He's like, oh, if you're not into that. And she's like, oh, no, you're saying that we need to wait.
Yes.
Like, you're nicely putting me down. And it's
you're
like,
a gentleman.
Again, his screw up
yes.
doesn't work in his favor this time around.
But at the same time, now she thinks him a gentleman.
Yes.
Which goes a long way.
I mean...
Better gentleman than an asshole.
Yeah, true. Well, he's... I don't know. He's a bit creepy.
He is a bit creepy.
Yeah.
But at least now he can, like, ask for a letter of recommendation.
But now it is time to infiltrate the Frenchy chateau.
Yes.
Which, oh my
it's
god.
Such a Bond, like, it's such a Bond background for the ending.
Of him climbing up some pipe and her, which, man,
I appreciate how, again, we've inserted the audience's idea of, like, her being like, are you really sure this is the only way in?
Because she takes a look around and there's a ladder.
There's, like, a ladder right there.
Which, okay. What kind of poop place is this?
A communal Roman-style pooping.
Which I think, and here's what I think is, I think it's a snide remark making fun of another way for them to insult the French and their back-ass ways.
I could see how that would be the correct insult, yes. For me, all I could think of was our history lesson on Roman architecture and how, like, pooping was a communal hangout spot with poop sticks.
That one photo that every architecture history book has of
like
the
just
Roman
people
toilets.
like hanging out pooping together.
Oh, I'm talking about like the actual like photo of the architectural like poop room.
Yes, of the poop room, and then like learning that there's like a communal sponge on a stick. No, thank you. I'm good. I mean, I like my privacy.
I've pooped in the woods before.
As have I, but I like to do it alone. As alone as one can get.
Okay, I'll
I
take
even
that.
throw the pets out. Goodbye, cat. I do not need to see you while I poop. Goodbye. Goodbye, bunny.
All right.
Goodbye, dog.
I forget that you actively have a cat that likes to go.
He will act. Both him and the rabbit would prefer to look you in the eyes while you poop.
Yeah, both of mine do too.
And
then,
I close the door. And then I sit there with their little feet under the door.
Well, when I force mine into cuddle into the bathroom with me to be my pooping buddies, they don't like that.
See, mine want it. That is their desire.
Pets. Never poop alone.
Yeah, you can poop like the French in this movie.
I'm waiting for our friends to have their kids to get to that age.
It's getting close.
It will be very close.
It will be sooner than any of them are ready for.
But either way, she still makes him take a shower, which
I appreciate. Good for her.
I appreciate, but like, you guys really had the time to do this, like.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, also, like, they had time for him to climb through, for her to wait for all of the poop to go by.
Yeah.
For him to call down and be like, okay, you can now climb all the way up. Because she's not right behind him.
No.
Like, this is a lengthy entry plan.
Yeah, it's dumb.
It's dumb.
It's dumb. It's a poop joke.
It is a poop joke.
Which, this is the part I pulled for our quote of the week. Or finish the quote for next week.
Yes.
Or technically this week, because when we record when this episode releases, that's going to be when that is.
Recording time warp.
Yes. But we now get the reveal of the full evil plot to turn England into one giant penal colony, which I love this because it's a dig at England and how it turned others into penal colonies.
Yes.
And also that it's kind of a dig that English is not a true civilization.
And it's at the same time, it's him being like, and then we can raise taxes.
Yes. We'll have a slave labor force of English. Everyone here.
Yes.
Which I have questions about this building. I won't go into a lot because like one, the backwards toilet, but they have a full speaker system.
Yes. As you know, you just slap those bad boys on with some command strips and you're good to go.
Yeah.
Whereas the plumbing of this ancient civilization building is already well established and we cannot put partitions in between those seats.
No, not at all.
Not even a folding screen.
Yeah. And the whole bit with like Johnny English popping out and like I do love this bit because like the French dude is just like, I'm over this guy. Like, why is he still fucking here?
Yes, no. And like as an audience member, you're kind of like, same dude, I understand. This man is trying really hard. Oh
yeah, very much so. But and then also the little bit of like the poo coming out of the gun.
Yes.
I'm sorry, English, I was caught. Yeah, so England seems to be in peril now.
Bum, bum, bum.
And now we cut to coronation time, which we get a little radio over of. It's Coronation Day. It's the first French king since 1066. Which this is where I was going to look it up, but I didn't have time.
Yeah.
Which I also love the jab of, call in to tell us nice things about the French. But we haven't had any calls yet today.
Again, this movie just really goes in on it.
Yeah. And we get the escape plan, the shaman throat warbles of the Guatemalan Delta, which I did not even look up any of this shit.
It doesn't matter because the idea is you sing at the lock until it opens.
Which feels very Doctor Who-y.
Especially because he picks like a single pitch.
Yes, and Boff comes to save the rescue. Yes. It's not even him rescuing
it. He doesn't even actually do it.
It's like, I would have done it if I got to the right time.
Yes.
Yeah, because like she tries stopping him. She's like, I'm done with your shit. We don't have time for this. He's like, shush, I'm an ultrasonic.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's time to rescue England, which they don't have time to bathe Boff.
No.
Who came up the same way English did.
Which at least does give credit to English's theory that this is like the best way in. Because 3 different people all did it.
2.
No, 3. Johnny. Soup lady.
She climbed up a ladder.
Oh, that's right, she did. Yeah, Bless her.
She climbed up a ladder, and then English tells Boff, you realize there was a ladder to the side over there.
That's correct.
English also dried off pretty quickly, too.
Spy suit? Maybe it's waterproof spy suit.
I don't know.
Oh.
Well, then the poop would have just driven away, too.
That's true. Questions.
Unanswered bullshit. Which I love that the entire Empire's watching. We cut to...
Oh, yeah, like every single person is watching.
Yeah, we have a cut of India, Canada, which I love the Canada one.
I do, too. It's so stupid.
And the Aussies, which the first time I watched... For some reason, I thought it was a bunch of rednecks in Texas or something.
Okay, which is hilarious because, like, I know people here who, when British stuff happens, are like, all right, everyone gather around. It's like the Super Bowl. Well, we got snacks, we gotta watch. They don't actually care, but it's like daytime TV.
Well, that's what I thought too, exactly, because I knew people like that. But
it's the Aussies.
There's a kangaroo crossing sign in the background.
There is.
Yeah.
And also, like, that makes more sense politically.
Yeah, and I think it was kind of funny, too, because, like, they poked so hard at the Canadians and the Australians, and then when it came to the Indians, they were very nice about it.
They were, which is good, because, like, no matter how you, like, spin this movie, like, none of this would have been good. No, not... You can make fun of the other people who look like the British. Yes. Yeah. Which... The plan is in full force, which the fight between Soup Lady and the sniper is just over the top. It is, but it feels like the over-the-topness of a final Bond battle. Well, and it's so quiet downstairs, like no one's hearing this fight going on in a cathedral that echoes. Okay, the audience for this coronation... There has to have been like orders for them to sit there and not move. Yeah. Well, oh no, they're okay. That's
that is why they're not moving, because they're so. Here's why it can probably be overheard,
Mm-hmm.
because English is pulling the attention.
Mm-hmm.
And Frenchie is saying, nope, let him be, let him have his thing.
I do appreciate that as the bad guy, he has the grace to think about from a public's image how it would look if he threw this person out.
Yes. And here's the thing, because we forgot to talk about in the chateau, the bumbling of grabbing the wrong DVD from the 4 DVD player.
Yes.
Which was fancy back in the day.
I would argue it still is.
Sure.
Mine only plays one at a time.
I don't need to swap out that often.
If I really wanted to, I guess I could put a DVD in like both of the PlayStations and the DVD player simultaneously and then just like flip channels.
Yeah, if I wanted, I could put in my PS3, my PS4, both of my PS2s, and yeah.
I'd have to get out the PS2 and rehook it up.
Yeah.
It's in its box at the moment.
But yeah, it leads to that setup in Johnny English's embarrassment.
Yes,
and then,
it does. It adds.
I love how the French dude just absolutely gets done with everything and just starts insulting all of the English.
Yes.
Yeah. And just such the comedic time, the childish bit of him swinging overhead. And like, it is between two children fighting.
Yes.
Give me it.
No.
Give me it. No.
Make me.
Yeah. Which also the taking of the crown's childish, and him getting crowned with it is...
I also appreciate that, again, based off of stupid logic and like base level like nonsensory, even though the rest of the ceremony was not done to English, because he has the crown on his head and was pronounced the king, he is now the king.
Exactly. And he's so smug about it. Everyone happy. Everyone cheers. Fuck the French.
I do like how the audience, who has witnessed this entire thing and not one of them has moved to help or leave, has then got done, watched this random man land on the throne, be pronounced king, and ordered the other gentleman, who, as far as they know, is the rightful king.
Yeah.
And, like, was somewhat civilized up until the whole tyrant part.
Yeah, we did also forget to bring up the fact that he moons the entire previous nations with the archbishop.
Yes, because we're looking again for that terrible tattoo.
Yes, because he doesn't know that the plot's changed.
Yes.
Which is a nice bit.
It is hilarious.
Yeah, but England is saved. English is crowned king, but he sets it down. He's knighted, and August 5th will be a holiday.
Hooray.
Hooray. He's off on a mission, and also treason is punishable by death, so we're given the fate of Frenchie.
Yes. Goodbye, Frenchie.
And we cut to the south of Spain, where English is off with Soup Lady.
Yes. And of course, now that it is the end of the movie, Soup Lady can finally make her intentions clear.
Yes, English is only using the gadgets for his personal gain as it pours them their own martinis. I
do think that the gadgets, like, while there are not a lot of gadgets in this movie, and they are very limited, the gadgets that do make an appearance are delightfully over the top.
In classic Spy.
And, like, they're not over the top, and, like, Austin Powers' gadgets felt like kiddie almost. Like, they were over the top, but, like, they were obviously dumb.
Yeah.
Like, not gonna lie, the car that pours your own martini, that's kind of cool. All of the gadgets are kind of cool. It's just Johnny English who makes them not cool.
Yeah. I completely agree with that. I mean, yeah, it is stupid.
Yeah, and, like, even the eject button on the seat is arguably cool. It's just him who makes it terrible.
Yeah. Which, I also love the final payoff of her getting ejected from the car, and
it's hilarious.
She lands in a pool where the man that Johnny English made up is at.
Yes. I do appreciate that the most fakish looking person on the planet exists, and it's like the last bit.
Yeah.
And it's a quick bit too. It's like a real quick, like, whoop, there he is.
Fun fact that I didn't realize, because I did not do any research into the soundtrack, that I'm just realizing, because as the credits roll, we're getting the whole shtick again. Hans Zimmer.
Yes, he did.
Wrote A Man for All Seasons.
Yes, he did.
I don't know who Robbie Williams is, but...
You would if you,
Well, the internet's right here.
I was gonna say, you know Robbie Williams.
No, I don't.
Okay, well, I know Robbie Williams.
I have no clue who this is.
It's okay.
Okay. But that is the first Johnny English. How well did it do?
Good enough for another.
Good enough for 2 sequels.
Yeah.
I know. So there's not a whole lot to this movie, honestly.
No, and that's kind of the good thing about it.
Yeah, and we talked about it quite a bit at the beginning of it feeling very awkward and out of place for what it is.
Yeah, and I think part of that is, and the critics had similar complaints. This movie didn't score super well with the critics, and like it still doesn't score super well with a lot of reviews and critics. However, part of that is because we're going at it from a critical eye. I have seen this movie many times, and I have never had complaints about it until now.
Yeah, and I mean, granted, we're picking over it a little bit more.
Exactly. This movie knew what it was.
Yeah.
And it at no point was like even pretending to do more than that. It's not badly written. The jokes are funny. The pacing's pretty good. It's not terribly long. The actors are solid.
Yeah.
It's exactly what it is.
Well, okay, so I have some thoughts on it. So I think, despite it is what it is, I think probably part of the issue is that, one, it's an origin movie.
Yes, which those are rarely well done.
And comparing it to the other big spy parody movie, Austin Powers, Austin Powers is an already established agent. Yes. By that time. Because, like, Johnny English is just, he's fully thrown into it, like, from the get-go. We get everyone else, every other good spy dead in the first 5 minutes of the movie.
Very true. Very true.
And so it's very quick paced in a way that's not entertaining. Because, like, all the gags don't really even add up to... They're just there. They don't really add to him like they do Austin Powers. Because Austin Powers gags all lead up to him falling in love with Vanessa.
There's a common punchline to Austin Powers that is lacking for Johnny English. Yes. Because the punchline is supposed to be, fuck the English. Like, look how silly the English are. But, and while that joke runs, it's not the punchline all the time. Yeah. So yeah, it feels weak in comparison.
It's a less cohesive humor.
Yes. But it's still funny.
Yeah, that is the thing, is it feels like a series of Monty Python sketches.
Yes, it does. And I think that's why, for me, the second and third one, like, those are the ones I tend to watch more. Like, I don't dislike the first one, and I watch it, but if I pick a Johnny English film, I usually watch Johnny English Reborn. Okay. Mostly because, A, that one's on more, and B, because, like, most of the gags that I remember are kind of set up in this one, and then, like, they pay off in the second. Okay. Like, it feels more cohesive because we've already set up, like, Johnny as the punchline in this one, as opposed to, like, having to build him up.
Yeah, it's like, it feels like it's funny if you understand it, but it has to explain the joke for you to get it.
Yes, and there's too many jokes back to back that have that same mindset.
There's not even, and that's the thing, is there's not really even like a resting time either. Like,
there really isn't a breathing time.
Yeah, the comedy is nonstop, and
yes, and it honestly, and I think part of that is this movie, I don't really think was meant for rewatching. I think this was really, like, the prime way to watch this was at a movie theater with friends.
Yeah, no, and I think you are right in that. Is like it's
this movie is meant for, like,
group watching.
It's meant for distractions. It's meant for popcorn and soda and, like, background noise to be happening, like 2 people not paying any attention.
And I can't remember who mentioned it, but comedy is one of those genres where it's better as a group experience for the most part.
Yes, 9 times out of 10.
I will say with a lot of darker and older comedies, those are more enjoyable as a solo person.
Yeah, and I think especially with like fast-paced comedies like Johnny English, it works better in a group setting because, like, not everyone's listening at the same time. Yeah. And so you can have different, like, bouts of giggles, with the exception of my dear husband, who has to hear every single word of a movie and will back it up if he missed something.
Yes.
But without him, this movie is one of those ones where, like, you know, a few people are paying attention at this point, someone else is like now giggling here. Like, it feels discombobulated in a good way that way.
Yeah.
And so when you're just sitting by yourself watching this alone, it feels too much.
Yes.
Because you're not distracted while you're watching it.
Yes, and trying to watch it multiple times after, like, you already know all the payoffs and just, like...
And, like, the part of the payoffs for this is that almost vaudeville slapstick style humor where, like, the timing of the joke and the payoff is really what makes it funny. Not necessarily, like, the wittiness.
Yeah.
And so, like, if you already have the timing down, you're preemptively, like, waiting for the joke, as opposed to, like, having that quick little, like, oh, he is rolling with it.
Yeah.
You already know where it's going.
Okay. Yeah, no, I agree with that assessment. I mean, it is one of those ones. So I guess, because, I mean, we've talked about the whole, I mean, the movie is very simple. So
It is.
I guess, Chris, first off, what do you rate this on our scale?
This is a challenge because I do love the other two, but the first one for me is a good bad.
I have to agree with that because it's not so bad it's bad.
No, it's not. It has moments where it is genuinely funny, and I watch it. I do watch this movie like once or twice a year with friends. Usually I watch the second one because that's the one A we own, and B, that's the one everyone, like, in our friend group can, like, quote to me.
Isn't that one on Netflix too, though?
Probably.
Yeah.
I
know one of the sequels was a Netflix original.
Yeah, it was, like, one of them was on Netflix for ages, at least back when, like, Netflix was still, like, a fun group activity.
Yeah, and still had stuff to watch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for me, this is a good bad because, like, I do enjoy it. It's just got to be under certain circumstances. Yeah,
no, I definitely agree with that. I am very curious to watch the other two just to see how it goes because most of the stuff I've seen is from the other two. It's not from this one.
Yeah, definitely.
And one, I do want to see more of Rowan Atkinson because I do think he is an interesting, iconic character.
He is.
Or figure.
He is a very interesting person. And, like, once you get into his different roles and, like, he's one of those actors that, like, there's a reason he's a cornerstone actor.
Yes.
There's a reason why so many people praise him. But he's not the sort of actor where you can, like, quickly pinpoint, like, where it is that he's making those changes and differences in acting.
Yeah.
You kind of have to look at him as a whole. Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
he reminds me of Nicolas Cage in that way just a little bit.
Yeah.
Where, like, you have to really, like, dig in.
I will say it is a good starter.
Yes, this is a wonderful starter. Do you need to see all of the Mr. Bean? No. That would take forever. There's too much.
Yeah.
But this is a good, like, if you found some of this funny, like, you would find others of his comedy funny.
So in that regards, would you recommend this movie?
No, not really. Like, the other ones are more funny. If you're wanting a Rowan Atkins movie, this isn't it. There's other ones that are more iconic for him. There are other ones where he's much better in, both in the Mr. Bean role and in just humor in general, and then also in his not humor style.
Okay.
But if it's on, I wouldn't turn it off.
I agree with not turning it off if it's on, but it's not going to be one I go out of my way to recommending to people. I probably would really only recommend this if you're going down a rabbit hole of the spy genre, and then if you're trying to see, like, what became of it, like the history of it, because this is, again, like I said at the beginning of the or earlier on in the episode, this is kind of the tail end of the Pierce Brosnan era of... This
definitely did mark a style of spy movie that we really don't have anymore.
Yeah, or if it's done in a bigger parody method.
Yeah, we are out of true that version of spy, and, like, this marked the, like, dumb parody version.
Dumb parody, or took it more seriously, like The Catcher Was a Spy.
Yes.
So, but yeah, so that's our review of Johnny English.
A good time.
Yeah, but anywho, this has been The Good, the Bad, and the Weird.
Thanks for listening.
Peace. Thank you for stopping by this here town of The Good, the Bad, and the Weird. We appreciate your listenership, and if you want more of our takes in your life, feel free to check us out on social media at The Good, the Bad, and the Weird Podcast, or TGTBTW for short. As well, if we missed a fact, your favorite part of a movie, or just have a suggestion and want to reach out and say howdy, feel free to email us at tgtbtwpodcast@gmail.com. And feel free to join our Discord at The Good, the Bad, and the Weird Podcast, where we talk about movies, just share random banter here and there. And always check out our podcasters, streamers, or any other content creator we shout out in our episodes. We really appreciate it. And as always, thank you for listening. Peace.